because I want you to just be like, you're chill. It's more of a visual, even. Like, you're fine. Okay? You're fine. And you're a rock star. Okay? Okay.
Yay.
Just want to say hi in person. It's so great to see you on the screen. So
Thanks.
happy you're back.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Yeah? Awesome. I'm glad.
I was just telling stories of my confirmation.
Oh, yeah, so is Becky. That was awesome.
And then Eitan's like, so what's confirmation? Like, you're going to find out soon.
Oh, I love that. Is
That's
he here?
awesome.
He's finding out. Yeah, finding out. Remember to tell you there are only 2 uncomfortable moments at the funeral. Go sit down.
You're playing for stuff for the service? So I'll just sit in the front. Because I don't know anything that you've told them. So just, but you'll tell them that's fine. Then I'll come up for the Torah. So I'll do the Torah service, and when it's time to, I'm not doing, he's going to take the Torah out and do his parent. And then we're gonna, when it's after all of the thing to read you can just line them up face out, or we face them Oh yeah, at the very end. That's fine. So I'll just say, the first line of Shema. That's it. Yeah, so strange. Are the microphones for them on?
Yes. Well, they might be. Yes, they are.
Is mine in here?
It should be. the weak area. That's the weak area right there.
Do you have a service?
I do. There you go. It's time. Should we? Should we go? Should we start? Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Zev, I'm going to invite you up.
Shabbat Shalom. Hello and good morning to everybody here outside with us today. I have been given the responsibility and honor to start off our confirmation service by speaking about why our class is here today. Over the past 8 months, our class has been learning about many aspects of Judaism, from a Jewish perspective on abortion and reproductive rights to our own personal views on the existence of God. It has been a tradition in past years for the confirmation class of post-B'nai Mitzvah Jews to hold a morning service to be officially confirmed as Jews and talk about what we have learned going forward into our adult lives. A major reason we chose to have a traditional service is that we wanted to give back to our community after not being able to have in-person services for so long. Also, we wanted to honor the class of 2020 who was not able to hold a service such as one this morning. But for me personally, there's nothing more important than a community being united together. This service is a great way to gather our families and fellow congregants here to share our thoughts on the prayers and to read from the Torah, another way to solidify our purpose as Jews. It is also an honor for us to be in the presence of Holly Berman, our cantorial soloist last Har HaShem confirmation class service. But our main hope for today is to share some of our insight on these Hebrew prayers with our fellow congregants and to take away some of what we have learned as we become proper Jewish adults.
Thanks, Zev. I'd like to invite the whole class to come on up. Thanks.
In Matovu, we voice our gratitude for having our tents in the desert. It was a protected place everyone shared and where the community lived together. For us, during the pandemic the last several years, the tent we are under right now allowed us to continue to gather as a community while protecting each other. Even though it was risky to be together during the uncertainty, the congregation found a way to be together. Even now that we are here again, the tent is a reminder of the tents we praised in the desert.
While Della's grabbing her guitar, I think that you're seeing that we began on page 1 of this beautiful service booklet, totally created by this class. And so we're happy to be together. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Banim Verov Chazdecha Avovetecha Eshtachaveh Elohecha Kodecha Ve'iratecha Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkanotecha Yisrael.
The Same B'chol Yom is all about daily miracles, and I feel that in the morning it is really important to remember that the whole world really is out there and at your fingertips. It's amazing to really think about how big of a miracle and luxury it is to be able to open your eyes, get out of bed, and get dressed. And throughout the day, you might fall, but we always get back up. And when you get back up, you become stronger. And I find that when I fall, instead of beating myself up about it, it helps to remember that every fall is a chance to grow. And I think this prayer really recognizes all the small miracles and ways to grow in life.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech vivina, lahavchin ben yom uvein laila, who has given mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim, who opens the eyes of the blind. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir hasirim, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim, who lifts up the fallen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim, who stretches the earth over the waters. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin metzadei gaver, who strengthens our steps. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim, who clothes the naked. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten li'ayev koach, who gives strength to the weary. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir sheina me'enai, unuma me'afapai, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim, who made me in the image of God. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani bat chorin, who has made me free. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael, who has made me a Jew. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Yisrael b'gvura, who girds Israel with strength.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifara, who crowns Israel with splendor. Amen.
As we enter into prayer, think deeply about what it all shares and how our outcome compares. So we ask, why pray? We have done it till this day, and so why do we continue? Think it through and through. Prayer brings balance to me and you, strengthening for what we all do. It is relaxing and calming to our spirit. We hear it, we see it, and deeply we feel the most when we lead it. Ikara v'ikada shemei rabba Be'alma divrachirute Be'amlich malhute Be'hayechon uvyomechon Uchayedecho beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman kariv V'imeru Amen Yeheshmei rabba mevarach Alam u'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnormam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yithalal Shemei dikuni shabrichu le'elam mikol birchata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechemata Da'amiran Balma Vimeru Amen.
The Baruchu is about being ready to pray and being present. It is important that we pray, that we are actively there and understanding what we are saying rather than just saying words. Sometimes it can be hard to understand the purpose of prayer. Why are we thanking God, some unknown entity?
The Yotzer Or is about bringing light into darkness. A time when I have had to bring light into darkness has been over the pandemic. Throughout this whole thing, these past 3 years, I, as well as everyone else, has had to replan and rethink things. Once when we went into lockdown, and again once everything went back to the new normal. One of the silver linings of this whole thing is it has made me very much not dependent on prediction. Whatever happens, happens, because at the end of the day, the sun is still going to rise in the east and set in the west, and that's just that. As I mentioned earlier, the Yotzer Or is about bringing light into darkness. Even throughout this pandemic, I have been able to find many terms. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orat.
When God created the world, it was our God. When the Jews left Egypt, our God was there to help us. When we were given the land of Israel, it was our God who gave it to us. The Shema lets us always remember our one God, the one God who is always with us, watching over all of our lives and keeping us safe. Adonai is our God. God is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Mahuto, Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated.
Top of page 6. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam beshivtecha bevetecha uvlachtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
The Mihamoha is a prayer of redemption, not the kind of redemption that we do to make amends for a mistake, but rather the redemption others do for us. The Mihamoha was a prayer sung after the Jewish people were liberated from Egypt with the parting of the Red Sea, in which they were freed by God. It celebrates this, praising God for the redemption of the Jewish people, as well as all of Israel. The Mihamoha is a constant reminder not only of the past, but also of being brought into the light from darkness. This prayer, I believe, signifies not just how people of the past were redeemed, but how there's always room for redemption today. How, even in difficult times, and even if redemption itself is difficult, there is always room for it, and it's always possible. Mihamoha, Bailim Adonai, Mihamoha, Nedar Bakodesh, Norah Zahilot, Osefele, Shirah Hadashah Shivhu Geulim, Leshimcha al Sfatayam, Yahad Kulam, Hodu, Ve'imlichu Amru, Adonai Yimlo, Leolam Vaed, Sor Yisrael, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Uvdei Kunumeha, Yehuda veYisrael, Go Aleinu, Adonai Zvod Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
The preamble to the tefillah is short and sweet, with a command that rings in our ears long after the words have exited our mouths. But I question, what does it mean to open my lips to God? Does it mean that I whisper words of thanks, conversing only with God? Does it mean that I simply breathe through my mouth, feeling the weightlessness of the holy influence deliberately flowing through me? Do I scream at the top of my lungs, letting all who can hear truly understand God's impact? Or do I do it all at once, utilizing every ounce of what God has built for me? I wish I knew how God wanted me to praise, but in the meantime, I hope God can feel the power in the way I decide to do it. And maybe it goes beyond opening my lips, signaling to God that I am thankful for all they do. Maybe it's beyond what I can do with my mouth, and really what I can do with my arms, my legs, my heart. Maybe God feels praise with all I do.
Kedusha, to me, is a little paradoxical. When we say it, we don't actually say the name of God, that name being too holy for us to know. Yet we do recite that God is everywhere. How can we not understand something that we say is everywhere? I also think that the prayer is angelic, not in the sense of shining white babies with little halos, but in the literal Talmudic sense of the beings, giant circular things infested with eyes that are somewhat terrifying. By definition, they are holier than us. One interpretation of the Kedusha is that when we go up on our toes to sanctify the holiness of God, we mimic the fluttering urgency of angels approaching God's throne. I don't think that God sits on a throne or that there are these alien-looking beings ready to announce God at any moment. That seems like a very human understanding of a concept that we're told, again and again, that we cannot comprehend. That's why this prayer is puzzling. We list the greatness of God, the untouchableness, and impersonate something far more good than we are. We even repeat, "I am Adonai, your God," a phrase that's taboo or dangerous coming from a person. Yet this prayer is about acknowledgement. Here is something far greater than ourselves, an aspiration. In this Kedusha, I hope you join me in attempting to be holier and attempting to be more good than we already are, even for just a few lines. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, keshem shmakdishim o tobi shmei marom, kakatuv al yad neviecha, v'kara el zeh ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomo, Echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, V'hu Yashmienu, Barachamav Le'nei Kol Chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai Le'olam, Elohai Yichtzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid Godlecha, Unetzach Netzachim Kedushalcha Nagdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated.
The most important part of Shabbat, to me at least, is the coming together of community. Shabbat gives a chance for everyone to connect with others and socialize when many are not able to during the week. Vashamru stresses the importance of continuing to observe Shabbat as our ancestors in Israel did and as our descendants will. Translating to, "For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day God ceased from work and was refreshed." Just like Adonai, all people deserve a day of rest and celebration to finish the week. All right.
I'm sure there are things in all of our lives that we appreciate. I believe that it is extremely important to give thanks and show that appreciation. When coming to understand this next prayer, I thought about what it means to show gratitude and why it is so important. We can show our gratitude to God through prayer as well as in other ways. It is important to show our gratitude to those around us, and this is often done through our actions. For example, this is the reason why we write thank you cards, take a friend to dinner, or simply spend quality time together. I know we can't write a thank you card to God, but there are other ways that we can show gratitude in addition to prayer. One of the ways that I show God gratitude outside of the synagogue is by respecting Teva, nature. I am extremely grateful for the beautiful nature on this planet. Therefore, I want to leave it the way I found it. Now, I would like to lead us in a short prayer for gratitude. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ucha na'el hadot. Take time for silent prayer.
Peace. Bestow us peace in times of trouble and darkness, to bring light where wickedness overflows. Let tranquility and unity stream through the veins of the people. Expel evil and replenish with all prosperity and love. Grant peace when healing is needed, when life is potent with harmony. Peace.
Oh, say shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Yoseh shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen.
So, everyone, good Shabbos. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. We are going to continue with Seder Kriyat Torah. We are on page 12, and some friends who are going to help open the ark and carry the scroll. We're going to have you folks come and join us over here, and we invite you to rise if you're able.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechodor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, av harachamim, heitiva v'irtzonecha et Zion. Tivne chamot Yerushalayim, Tivne chamot Yerushalayim, Ki vecha levad batachnu, Melech Ram v'nisa, Adon olami.
Havogodel Eloheinu tenu chavod la Torah. Let us declare the greatness of our God and give honor to the Torah.
Ki mitzion tetze Torah, Ki mitzion tetze Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu l'Adonai iti, uneromema Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod. Ki cho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki cho b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'hamid na'aseh, lecho lerosh. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, lo yimedu od milchama. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Whatever that chord is, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. This is our first hakafa in 2.5 years. So I have not played these songs, and so it's a good reason that I don't know what I'm doing. It's a really good reason.
Perfect. All right, I got it. Wonderful.
You may be seated. I had to do everything when you weren't here. It's nice to let you talk. It's good.
That's not what they say. Wonderful. So, the Torah reading is in the text, in this little prayer booklet. Hannah's going to be delivering the Devar Torah, you'll see the translations on page 14 if you wanted to have a little bit of a taste of it. But like always, the Devar Torah is words of Torah. We ask our students or whomever comes forward to share a little bit of the Torah that they encounter. And there's going to be good Torah today. So good to see you.
Good morning. The Parshat Kedoshim that you're about to hear chanted beautifully is not the easiest to digest. It's a list of rules, some of them famous, in fact, like not trimming sideburns or peyot, or not eating meat with blood. It's the kind of structure that makes organized religion unpalatable for many, and the rules it lists, like only planting one kind of a seed in a field or not mixing different threads, are mainly irrelevant today. These instructions mix the concept of holiness, godliness, with law. And it truly is law in the sense of a legal framework. There are rules against falsifying the value of a product, for instance, or exactly when to harvest fruit. Jewish communities were, and some still are, societies unto themselves, with rabbis seen more as lawyers than as spiritual leaders. Kedoshim, in part, details how these societies should operate. So then Kedoshim feels foreign, almost uncomfortable. The name translates to holy ones, a reference to the story of Jews being chosen, and to how these rules are commandments on how to be holy. That's nice in theory. If we take the parsha lightly, skimming the tops of the potential meanings of these rules and not the rules themselves, it looks like a guide on how to be good people. To not intentionally cause harm, to be honest in your deeds, to welcome in the stranger. It's a roadmap to ethical living. But many of the rules involve fearing God. These are the laws of a theocracy, where not attempting holiness is punishable by extradition from the community or even a death sentence. Determining holiness with a set of rules is interesting from a perspective of faith, too. From a modern view, following the exact same guidelines as everyone else feels prescribed and not spiritual. Rabbi Green, however, has told us that this understanding of spirituality can be so individualistic that it can become selfish or indulgent. By listing the steps to becoming holy, the Torah takes away some self-discovery, yes, but also enforces a sense of community and accountability. The Rabbi Har HaShem noted that the phrase, "you shall become holy," implies that this is a commandment which is an ongoing process. Kedoshim features allegories and ethics alongside laws. The Parsha tells us to not favor the poor or show deference to the rich, and that, quote, "the stranger who resides with you shall be to you as your citizens. You shall love each one as yourself." While we've moved away from many of the rules in this Parsha, these ones feel like the backbone of our Jewish morality. If holiness is something we are commanded to do because God demands it from us specifically, then the Parsha seems to be implying that we, specifically, have a responsibility to attempt to do as much good as possible, even if it's inconvenient. Throughout the year, Rabbi Green has taught our class about different social justice issues and how they pertain to Judaism. It feels like being Jewish means being obligated to take a stand, a sentiment that's often joked about with the phrase 2 Jews, 3 opinions. Kedoshim, then, offers a taste into what those stances should be. And if we follow the spirit of the law, not the exact meaning directed towards those who lived thousands of years ago, then we can interpret what that suggests for our quest to becoming more ethical people today and even more ethical people tomorrow. But how can we pick some commandments to follow over others? In some sense, it feels ingenuine, like cherry-picking the prettiest parts out without having to worry about the ultra-specific or the banal rules. Striking this balance is tricky. Context helps, like the fact that the Torah is outlining a legal framework on top of a religious one. So does understanding that a modern world has different requirements from what the ancient Israelites could have ever imagined. At the beginning of this year, Rabbi Green had our class write down our own commandments for the world to adhere to. The common themes between our lists sometimes directly echo the Torah, like not committing acts of violence unless in self-defense, and other times were representative of our own era, like respecting an individual's identity. I don't think that you can simply follow a set of rules and be holy. Kedoshim says to be holy because God is holy, and while plenty of people follow the rules, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of godliness going on right now. This semester, our class prepared to lobby for differences in how our society operates before the staff of Senator Hickenlooper, and ultimately sent him videos of our speeches this past Wednesday. One aspect of our lobbying that we all found difficult was the Jewish aspect in favor of the reforms we sought. Mixing faith and law, especially in a religiously pluralistic society, can have dastardly consequences. My group advocated for reproductive justice, and we found that trying to justify bodily autonomy with verses from the Torah felt no different from groups who advocate for the opposite with their Bible verses. It feels uncomfortable, even hypocritical, to justify informing our political opinions with our religious beliefs when we blame many issues in this country to a lack of separation between church and state. That's why I think it's okay, actually, to cherry-pick the parts of Kedoshim about theocracy a little. We can understand it filtered through the context about how the Torah was read thousands of years ago, and how those traditions have adapted and bended to different situations across the diaspora. The point is to bring about godliness, or if that's an off-putting word, simply more goodness into the world around us. I think holiness, godliness, goodness is more akin to a process, like Har HaShem said. I cannot claim to know exactly what it entails, but I do believe that looking at the rules that are embedded in our tradition, some alarming, some not, can help guide us along that path to holiness. Shabbat Shalom.
I want her to go like this. Yasher koach. From strength to strength. There's a lot for us to think about. There's a lot for us to chew on, to consider about how do we create these encounters with text, with community, with people, with whatever this idea or entity of God might be. And one of the things I love about working with confirmation, and I know it's true for Catherine and Holly, is for them to think through, not just take what has been given, but to think through and own it in a unique way, their genuine, authentic way to figure out how does Judaism matter. And there are some wonderful questions and even a couple of answers for herself at least that really resonate, I think, with all of us. So, Yasher Koach, that was really amazing. In fact, I haven't seen any of these readings. This is the first time, like, in so many ways, I've been, like, really absent. So, hi. So, so to be able to encounter this service and all of their gifts, all of your gifts, has really been just so meaningful. And I think we all feel that. We're going to turn to the text. You'll see, so for our friends who are going to be joining us in a little bit, the blessing before and after the reading of the Torah is going to be on pages 13, the bottom of 13 and the top of 14. And you see, I put in the text that they're chanting with the Hebrew and the English nice so that everybody can see it right in front of you, and you can follow along for each of our readers. So while Malia is going to be our first chanter, you can come up, and you'll see that text on page 14. I'm going to invite up folks for the first Aliyah. Perhaps there's a few of you who were confirmed yourselves. It could have been, a few decades ago. That's okay. But if you were a part of a confirmation class once upon a time, we invite you to come up for the Aliyah. Oh, look how many. Oh, my gosh.
Not the kids, right?
Not them. You guys stay put. We'll come to you in a second. Look at all of these former confirmands. Isn't that awesome? Some of them even have pictures on their phones of their sorry Becky, but their confirmation pictures from their synagogues. It's true. My synagogue was just torn down. I wonder what happened to those pictures. Oh my gosh, I'm going to figure that out. So, for all of you, if we have the text up here, but you're going to be sharing the blessing. Again, we're at the bottom of 13. And we're going to help you along with it. Here, I'm going to hold this up for some of you. You're on the top part. Can you see? Everybody can see? Do you remember how this goes? Should we kick you off? Yes. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Baruch. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach. You're going to repeat that. Amen. No, you're going to hang out here. If you're able to, you're going to hang out here. We're going to chant some Torah. I'm going to fix my talis. Do you see the yod up here? There's a yod. Grab that. You see it? Look at you. Okay, my friend.
Vadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael. Va'amarta alehem kiroshim tiheyu. Ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo va'aviv tira'u ve'et shabtotai tishmoru. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'lohei masecha. Lo ta'asu lachem. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Beautiful. I'll take that. I'm going to leave it right here. Awesome. So, the top of the next page. Are you ready? Oh, I have it here for you. Thank you. Right at the bottom. Ready? Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natav b'tochenu Baruch Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. You know, parents, friends, the fact that you've gone through this exceptional experience once upon a time and that you get to share in this with your families, I think it's remarkable. We hope and pray that you continue to go and grow from strength to strength, and we're so glad that your families are here. You can return to your seats. Are you our second reader?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Okay.
Worked enough at it, so.
So for the second aliyah, we're going to invite some more friends to join us. You see, a few years ago, we've been doing confirmation for a long time, and every year has their own experience. Last year, there was just too much going on online that this year's class kind of combined 2 years, but the year before, we'd say, well, we're going to postpone confirmation. Let's wait 2 weeks when this whole thing is over.
On March 14th, we said, we'll just postpone it for a couple of weeks.
We're just going to postpone it for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And we're going to postpone it for a couple of more weeks. And we said, do you want to do something yourselves? And they were adamant, and they said no. We wanted to do something as part of the congregation. And then this pandemic just raged. And so some of those students are here, and we're going to invite you to come up for the aliyah. So the 4 of you.
Confirmation class of 2020.
Yeah. Come on over. The blessing is on the top of page.
And these are all seniors about to graduate from high school.
That's right. How many days? 8 days. What else is 8 days? No, don't answer. Come over here. Come close to the Torah. Here you go, guys. Right up there. Do you see? Come on in. All right. Do it. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Stay up here for a little bit with us. Elliot's going to continue.
V'chi tizbechu zevach shlamim l'Adonai l'rtzonchem tizbechu beyom zivchachem yachol umimochovat v'hanotar hayom hashlishi be'esh yisaref ve'im yachol yachel beyom hashlishi pigulhu lo yeratzel ve'ochlaf avono isa ki et kodesh Adonai chilel v'nichrata hanefesh hehi meyamecha.
Beautiful. Yasher Koach. Right there. Okay, friends. The bottom one, right? The bottom of the page or over here?
This one? Yeah.
Yes, that one.
Sweet. Cool.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So, folks, we know that your whole class wasn't able to be here. And your growing up these last couple of years have been under such complicated circumstances. We really feel for you. And we hope that through it all, you have a sense of, even still, what community can mean, how the gifts that your families and congregation have tried their very, very best to give to you, that you take it along with you in your next stages of your journeys, which are exciting and meaningful and powerful. We are proud of who you are becoming, and we too wish you that you go from strength to strength to strength. And we're so glad that you're here with us today. So, Yasher Koach. You bet. Awesome. Before we continue with the next reading, where's my book? This is mine. Before we continue with the third reading of the Torah, we share a Misha Berach for all those who are ill, all of those who are struggling, all of those who need care. This is indeed a complicated world, so we know that there are people hurting in our community. You're going to be able to share names, and there's going to be just so many names that we're not lifting up ourselves. So whether you say them out loud or keep them to yourself in your heart, or if they're in our community or in lands far, far, far away, we lift up a prayer for care and for strength and for hope. If you'd like to share a name, we'd invite you to do so.
Misheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor ha-bracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
I'd like to share just one other Misha Berach, another prayer for strength and for healing and wholeness, Mekor Chaim, source of all life. Please help all of those who are facing hardship and insecurity during these raging debates relating to reproductive health care. Bring them close to you so they feel less alone. For those who are in danger, we share our strength with them. For those triggered by the ugly rhetoric because of their own past healthcare decisions, we share our strength with them. For those who keep sorrow in silence, we share our strength with them. So please, God, watch over them gently, if you will. Spread your Sukkot Shalom, your shelter of peace over them, over all of those who love them, and over those who provide care to them. Let us all find ways to lift our voices, our hearts, our tzedakah, our efforts to advocate, to make sure that human dignity is protected, that reproductive health care is accessible to all, and religious freedom remains a paramount value in our country. Ken Yehi Ratzon, let that be God's will. Our closer, Zev, is going to be chanting Leviticus Chapter 19, verse 9. You'll see it at the bottom of page 14. I'm going to ask for you folks to stay where you are, but for all of the parents, if you will please rise, if you're able, you're going to be joining us for that blessing. So you'll have the words on the top of 13 and the bottom of 14, so you get to share the blessing, and Holly is going to help you along.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. You can sit for a moment. Is that you?
Uvkutz rechem et kitzir artechem lo techale pe'ad tzadcha liktzor veleket kirtzecha lo telakeh ve'karmecha lo tolel uferet karmecha lo telakeh la'ani v'lager ta'azov otam Ani Adonai Elohechem. Lo tignovu, velo tichachashu, velo tishakru, ish ba'amito. Velo tishavu vishmi, la shaker, vechilota. Et shem Elohecha, Ani Adonai.
Beautiful. Yeshikach. Okay, parental units. The top of the next page.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We're all going to remain standing. We're not done yet. We're all going to remain standing. We invite you to rise if you are able. We are on the top of page 15. Hagba Ugalila, Naomi and Xander are going to come forward along with Gabe. And we're again on the top of page 15.
Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim haolam omed al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim haolam omed al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim haolam omed al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Yasher koach.
Seated. We move right into the Haftarah, so you'll see the blessings and the text, and we begin on 15.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza b'divrechem hana'amarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek b'cherev yamutu kol hata'ei ami ha'omrim lo tagish v'takdim be'adenu hara'ah bayom hahu akim et sukat David hanofelet v'gedarti et pritzeyen v'harisotav akim uvnitia kime olam lema'an yershu et she'eret edom bechol hagoyim asher nikra shmi alehem na'um Adonai osei zot.
Hine yamim ba'im na'um Adonai v'nigosh choresh ba'kotzer v'dorech anavim v'moshech hazara v'hitifu heharim asis v'hohagbaot titmo gagnu v'shavti et shavot ami Yisrael uvanu arim neshamot ve'ashavu ונטו חרמים, ושתו את יינם, וישו גנות, ואכלו את פריהם, ונטטים על אדמתם, ולא ינטשו עוד מעל אדמתם, אשר נתתי לכם, אמר אדוני אלוהיך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Yasher koach. Thanks, folks. You good to sit there for a little bit? I'm going to do my talk. So, as we share some blessings, I want to first, before anything, because I needed to disappear, Holly and Catherine just picked everything up, and Ethan was here, and everything kind of continued on, and I'm so grateful, and I know that our students are so grateful for their presence and for making sure that everything just kind of continued on. And I also want to just acknowledge, similar to the folks that are a little bit older than you, that moving through Jewish life in a pandemic has been just so hard and complicated. Forget about Jewish life and the things that are going on here, but everything that you've just needed to confront and how you grew up and are growing up in the midst of all of this. We admire your strength. We see great power in who you are and who you're becoming. And even still with this pandemic, we didn't get to do our DC trip, and things were complicated with this lobbying scenario. But even still, you made sure that it would happen. You made sure it was going to happen, and I'm going to make sure that they see it. So I needed just to say that out front. There's been lots of losses in this pandemic in so many ways, and it's amazing that you're here. It's amazing that you stayed with us. It's amazing that giving the opportunity to do something different and creative, was so moved that you said, no, we're doing services. We want to read Torah. We want to say the prayers. And I was like, oh, there's a surprise. And I respect you so much. I really do. That you chose to make sure that you add your own link. It's not even others doing it for you at this point. You wanted to add your link as young adults to this incredible, massive, long, worn, little rusty sometimes chain that's part of our Jewish ancestry. Part of this is to confirm who you are as a human being and who you are as a Jew. And I think it's a very, very powerful statement. It began back in September when we met. You shared a little bit of yourselves with us, and then what we said is we entered into a covenant with one another, a brit, and you resolved to build a community where people make an effort to listen to one another, to teach one another, to share and be honest with one another. And we made a promise to one another to talk and to communicate, to be present. And I have to say that you really did that. You did that. Your class did that. So many who have come before you have participated in that exercise. And your questions and your responses were always so thoughtful, always so thoughtful. It's my greatest hope, it really is, that from this experience, you get to see the world through Jewish eyes. You get to encounter ideas and ideals of our people, and using that, that's going to be part of the lens through which you see the world, and you get to encounter everything. I don't think that Judaism is supposed to be this structure that is just meant to be preserved. It's a worldview that's given to us to help us do what is just and what is right. And we develop that worldview through our study and through our ritual, through the responsibilities we have to one another in community, and through our relationships with the Holy One. So I want to share this prayer with you and with your folks. A colleague shared it as well, and I think parts of her words just resonated so much that I want to share it. Students, when you come up here to stand in front of this congregation to deliver your messages about your prayers and your experiences of confirming who you are as Jews, you are making a visual statement to all of us little older people in the congregation, especially your parents, that you are another generation. Your lives are different. You will walk into a future that none of us are really going to see the same way. Your role as the next generation is to walk forward and make your Judaism matter. And parents, you are coming to understand, and I know this to be true, that your roles is to stand still. You have to do it over and over and over again. You stand still and watch them walk away from you into kindergarten. You stand and watch them dive off diving boards and run away on soccer fields. You stand and wave goodbye when they get on the bus for camp. You stand on the bima when they're 13 years old and watch them walk into a congregation to deliver divrei Torah, words of Torah, all by themselves. You watch 16-year-olds climb into cars and drive away. You watch them travel to Israel, I hope one day, by themselves. And someday, much sooner than you might think, you're going to kiss them goodbye, and they, God willing, are going to move out of your homes. Again and again, you watch them walk away from you, and you stand still. Not that your lives or your parenting is static. What I mean by that is that your job is to stand fast, to be your children's touchstone, the thing in their lives that is constant and steady and always to be counted on, when so much of their lives, especially recently, is so filled with chaos and change. And your job is to stand up for values and principles, to be your children's pillar of integrity and goodness as they think about how they are going to live and make their own choices, including how they're going to live with their Judaism that might look a little different than ours. Your job is to stand firm with patience, love, and good sense, even or especially when they push back. And your job is to stand up with pride and to celebrate the fact that they are growing and journeying on their own. To you, my teachers, Mishaberach Avotenu V'Imotenu, may the one who blessed our mothers and fathers who came before us, may God bless you. This day marks your thoughtful presence with the Jewish people at Sinai all over again. And at Sinai, you inherit our people's dreams, our people's hopes and truths, and they're yours, as shown through the light of Torah and shine through history. We congratulate you on learning and on progress, to be sure, but we wish you continued, not achievement. I know that'll come, but we wish you continued growing, ongoing, everlasting growing in the years ahead. May you be blessed with health of body and mind, so that you will be able to fulfill your fondest hopes. May our people's love of learning inspire you in your continuing quest for knowledge. As you advance in your learning, may you grow in wisdom. As you increase your knowledge, may you gain understanding. For knowledge alone may be less than a blessing. Unrestrained by decency, it can make somebody more dangerous. But knowledge, when linked to compassion and justice, these ideals that are intimate with our Torah, and they can enhance our lives and benefit our world. So may you, great teachers, go from strength to strength. May the teachings of Judaism guide you in all that you do, and that's indeed how you will bring honor to yourselves and honor to your family and pride to all who pray for your well-being. You're not exactly children anymore, but you are always among the children of Israel as you become these confirmands. You are inheriting our people's wonderful shared wisdom, treasure troves of hopes and dreams and truths, and they are certainly yours. May your continued learning and questioning and debating and discussing, and with your own lived experiences, we hope that it's all inspiring to you, compelling and gentle and meaningful as you continue your Jewish journeys. So I'm going to invite you, friends, to come up here. Catherine is going to join us. You're going to stand right here in front of the ark facing our congregation. You're going to stand up too. Catherine's going to take the Torah from you. Just make one line across. So, while the Torah is up, we'll invite you to rise if you're able. While the Torah is here and present with us, Catherine, because I can't lift yet, Catherine is going to share the Torah with each student, placing it on your shoulders. It is really on your shoulders. She's going to place it there for a little bit, and once it's placed, you get to say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You get to say this prayer of unity between us and the Jewish people, and we know that you are listening, just like the words of Shema say. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. I love confirmation. The bottom of page 16, we're going to return the Torah. We're going to return the Torah back to the ark. I think Miriam Theo, if you'll please open the ark doors.
It's Chaimi Lama Chazikim Ba Vetom Chea Meushar Derachea Darchei Noam Vechonetivotea Shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha Venashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedesh.
And while you're here and while the ark is open, we share another blessing with you.
Yivarechech Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God look kindly upon you and may you feel God's love.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God reach out to you with tenderness and give you peace, give you shalom, give you wholeness today and every day so you can bring that same peace out into the world. You folks can go back to your chairs. We're going to remain standing. We'll close the ark doors. Aleinu L'Shabech is on page 17, and Gabe is going to help us with our next reading. Yeah.
The Aleinu is a prayer that addresses all of us individually. If literally translated, the prayer talks about each of our obligation to praise God. However, I interpret these same words to be an overarching call to action for any and all issues. As many of you know, a huge part of being Jewish is not standing idly by while so many problems in our world remain unsolved. No matter the scale of these problems, we are obligated to aid in easing the pain so many suffer with. Whatever causes you choose to support, or the activism you pursue, the Aleinu compels all of us, as both Jews and people, to do our part in bettering the world. Although none of us are expected to overcome these obstacles alone, such work can often feel overwhelming and hopeless. In spite of this, we must dig deep and continue pushing for change, as both individuals and as one united Jewish community. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, Lateit Gidula Leotzer Breshit Shelo Asanu Kagoy Haratzot Velo Samanu Kamishpachot Adama Shelo Sam Chalkenu Kahem Vego Ralenu Kechol Hamonam Vanachnu Korim Umishtachavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Noteh Shamayim Veyoser Haaretz Umoshev Yikaro Bashamayim Imah Ushchinatu Zo Begovhei Meromim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efet Sulato Kakatu Betorato Beatahayom Beadatahayom Vavecha Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim Hashamayim Imah Va'aretz V'aharetz Itahat Einod
Page 18, you may be seated for a moment. We take some time to think of those whom we have loved and lost in this season past, in years that have passed. If you are observing a yard site or in a period of mourning and would like to share the name of one whom you are remembering, we invite you to rise for a moment, share that name with us and who they were, and then we'll continue with additional names from the community. We also remember in the period of Shloshim, those first 30 days, we remember Joshua Fishman, the grandnephew of Michael Greenbaum. And we remember a member of our community, Estelle Miller, our own local mayor. Those yard sites for this week that has passed, we remember William Backrack, Lou Brown, Lynn Friedman, Irma Pearl Gilbert, Marianne Gillespie, Michael Glassman, Shirley Goldstein, Michael Gould, Lily Haber, Ezra Hazan, Fred Koslov, Marshall Kozin, Broder Lipton, Sidney Locker, Anita Mandelbaum, Molly Traub Math, Rose Modlin, Yevgenia Pecker, Jay Pitto, Mirtha Ponespona, Ann Rosenthal, Paul Solomon, Sheldon Sanders, Libby Schaefer, Alice Weiss, Rose Zucker, Janet Gardner, Jonah Kimmel, Louis Kramer, Irving Ritter. I also want to share 3 names. I want to remember Oren Ben Yiftach, who is a father of 6, Yonatan Habakkuk, a father of 5, and Boaz Gol, a father of 5. All 3 were in their 40s and were murdered in Israel this week. As we pray for peace as part of Kaddish, we pray for peace everywhere, for all peoples. And we invite you to rise. Page 18. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kariv v'meru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei d'kurisha b'richu. Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'emeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'emeru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, all who hurt, here and everywhere. Let's say amen. And you may be seated. I'm going to invite Catherine to come forward. She's going to be sharing a few words along after with Marianne Balin, our synagogue's president, and then we have some gifts. So Catherine's going to share first.
So first of all, I want to say congratulations, Mazel Tov, and just share a few words of blessing and insights of my own in terms of the journey that you have led us on. I want to start by, we didn't talk about the cover of the Siddur we're using this morning. This was done by your classmate Tessa, who is not able to be here today. And I think it's a perfect image for all of you. The Torah portion, as we know from this morning, was Kedoshim. And this question of what does it mean to be holy is something that you have dug into all year, and you heard the questions that they're asking and the wonderings that they have and the ahas that they have come up with. And for all of you, what I have learned from you is something that we could all take in. You all know that there is a tension between expressing who you are as an individual and what it means to be bound in community. And to me, being able to live out that tension, that is the essence of holiness. And if that is the lesson that you take with you and you remind all of us to carry with us, you truly are the leaders of this community. And being able to live in that tension is not easy. And you all struggle with it as teenagers, but guess what? We struggle with it as adults too. So as you go off and continue this journey, I ask that you embrace that tension. Continue to figure out what it means to be holy. Cherry pick the things that make sense for you out of Judaism, but also keep in mind what's important to others so that you have that balance in your life. So with that, we are very excited to present you with gifts and a certificate. One of you said earlier, does this mean I'm officially confirmed now that I get the certificate? Here's what means you're officially confirmed. You've shown us what you have to teach us and the blessings that you are to us. So it's now our job to give you a few extra gifts of your own. We're going to be giving you a certificate, as well as a Tanakh, the entire Bible. You got a Torah for many of you for your B'nai Mitzvahs, and we really think it's time for you to have the whole thing. So we haven't talked about that. But we hope that that continues to be a source of strength for you, of wondering, of questioning as you go out into the world. And also, we are gifting you with some traveling Shabbat candlesticks. Your journey is going to move you far away from here, and sometimes back home, and sometimes closer to home. And we hope that you carry that light of your Judaism with you wherever you go, and remember to take time to rest and appreciate and take a step back. So I'm going to invite up Mariana, our president, who's going to add a few words to mine of congratulations, and also our youth director, Ethan Stone, who's going to help with the gifts as well.
That's scary, huh?
That's a little scary.
Yeah, watch the floor. It is so wonderful to see you all today here. And I feel so privileged to have been the beneficiary of your thinking and feeling and putting words to paper. Thank you very much. I know from Catherine, and we know repeatedly from the comments that have been made about your experience, you made it through a pandemic, Mazel Tov. You worked with being separated and you came together. What a great thing. And I want to say I'm particularly impressed that despite the struggles you had with your political advocacy, that you made videos and you sent them, and that you are our representatives makes me very proud. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, that's what I have to say. Congratulations, parents. Mazel tov to everybody.
Guess I'm going to sneeze first. So just a little word of introduction. Some of you may need to swap your books afterwards. Your names are in the book plates that are in them. If you get the book that's not yours, just swap bags. So I'm going to start with the confirmation class of 2020. So as I read your name, please come up. Yes, actually.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Is this the order? Yes.
Molly Cohen. See how well that works?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Nothing's not organized. Do you want Molly to come up onto the stage?
I do want Molly to come up here and shake your hand. Isaac Marks. Jacob Rosenbaum.
Great job.
Great. Jonah Siegel. Confirmation class of 2021-2022. Della Baker Rosenthal.
It's scary. I know.
Theo Chasnow. Hannah Cohen. Zev Cohen. Malia Hendricks. Sam Irina Malin.
Come right over here, Sam.
Elliot Marks. Miriam Muller. Naomi Nichols. Doolin O'Brien. Xander Schroers. Daniel Schulteis. Zach Circus. Gabe Wexler. Before we go on to the next piece, I will say to our confirmands, both classes, if the sun is still behind a cloud concluding services, we're going to take another picture over there. So before we do Motzi, yes. So before we do Motzi, we are going to take another picture as long as the sun is still behind a cloud. Oh, yes. Thank you. So, Marianne, actually, you need to come back up here. I got so excited. It is tradition for the confirmands to present a gift to the congregation. And I'm going to invite up Doolin and Zach. Yes, on behalf of the congregation.
We're deciding what it is right now.
We got it.
They got it. Okay, go in front of the microphone.
So, as we're done here, we are going to present a contribution in the form of a stone in a circle in the courtyard with either the names of our class or, well, just the class of 2022.
Where's the stone?
Yes, I can.
The stone has not been made yet.
Thank you. I hope that by placing a stone in front of our building, you will come back often to look at it, and we will often look at it and appreciate you. Thank you so much.
That's the point of it.
So you want them all up?
Will you invite them up? Yeah.
Come on up, class. Bring your words, the last page. Yep, 19.
A closing, okay, it's really loud when I'm standing in front of the speaker. A closing prayer, a closing song. We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Ledor vador, nagid god lecha. Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning we will have the strength to say. Ledor vador, nagid god lecha. Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Ledor vador, nagid god lecha. Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
What comes next for all of us after confirmation is whatever we want. Now we all have the power to choose our own way of following Judaism, whether through services, camp, youth group Israel, or social activism and seeking justice. However way we decide, being confirmed allows us to step into our own way of practicing, living, and staying connecting to Judaism and grow into our own religion.
Better after the song. That was on purpose. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
So we are actually, even though we don't have any challah out here, we're going to do a motzi together out here. We're actually